Do not leave the class in between. We are starting with syphilis today. Any idea about syphilis? Syphilis is a sexually transmitted disease. Okay, uh, I don't know you'll have heard before or not, but it is a sexually transmitted disease, and it is the organism responsible is Treponema pallidum. The organism responsible for syphilis is Treponema pallidum. It is contagious bacterial infection, okay, and transmitted through contact from an infected person during sexual contact, okay. So it comes under STI. It is called as STI, that is sexually transmitted infection. Hmm? This is the organism. I told you it is Treponema pallidum. Hmm? And the shape is spiral. As you all can see, the shape is spiral, and it enters through open cuts or sores in the mucous membrane. So the chances of entering your body is through open cuts or through mucous membranes in your body. And contracted through contact during sexual contact. Okay, so it is transmitted from one person to another through an infectious person during sexual. It is sexually transmitted. Okay, maybe like passed from mother to baby, called congenital syphilis. Okay, one more chance is it can pass from the mother to the baby also, known as congenital syphilis. Then progresses through four stages. Okay, this disease has four stages: primary, secondary, tertiary. Okay, and the fourth one is the last stage where it is highly contagious. So these four stages are the stages as the disease progresses within your body. Okay, as it is, as you get the infection, it is the primary stage. Generally you do not show symptoms in the primary stages. Then is the secondary stage, then the latent and tertiary stages. Get as it comes to the final stages, then you shall start showing symptoms and it becomes really worse. And the person is very highly contagious and potentially fatal. So what happens in the primary stage? You can see over here, not all people show visible symptoms. It is always in case of any infection, any disease, or not all people, everybody is symptomatic. Okay, there are asymptomatic also, people who are asymptomatic also, and that is what happens, because that is why you cannot make out the disease in initial stages, because people are asymptomatic. Okay, so primary stage, what happens is a small painless ulcer-like sore called a chan appears at the site of initial infection. Okay, so when wherever there's an initial infection, there's a small sore like this. It appears. The chance usually appears 2 to 3 weeks after initial infection. Okay, so you can imagine it's already 2 to 3 weeks. The organism has multiplied within your body, and then it is showing a small sore over here. So it's already 2 to 3 weeks as your disease is multiplying, the organism is multiplying within your body. Then comes a small sore like this. The chan may go unnoticed because of the location in the mouth, anus, vagina, or throat. Okay, so this can come up in the mouth or in the vagina or in the throat. So it is unnoticed. Okay, of course, if it's anus, vagina, or throat, you don't even know if it has come up. Okay, only in case of mouth you can see this, but in other cases you cannot even notice it. Usually disappears in 4 to 6 weeks without treatment. The bacteria is still multiplying in the body and it's contagious. Okay, so it is still inside your body and it is multiplying and it is contagious, although you do not show any symptoms. So these kind of things appear and they just go off. No, you sometimes we don't even notice or we don't even realize that it's what is the organism which is multiplying. In your mouth you can have such kind of things and they come and they go on their own. But we don't know that it's Treponema pallidum or it is some other organism or some other infection which is there in the mouth. So this is how disease become unnoticed, and then you come in the final stages where you find the disease has come to the final stage and difficult to cure. So as said over here, it comes in 2 to 3 weeks, and again it goes without treatment in 4 to 6 weeks. It disappears without treatment. Okay. Then secondary stage. So that was the primary stage, huh? Then in the secondary stage begins a few weeks to months after the chance up heals. So that heals off. After that, after a few weeks or months, there are flat patches. There are patches on the palm and on the feet, soles. Can be anywhere on body, lesions in the mouth, vagina, penis, mucus patches, condylomalatal fever. Okay. Then fever, you can have fever, you can have swollen glands, you can have, there can be loss of appetite, fatigue, aches and pains in the bones or joints, patchy hair loss, can still present in some cases. Bacteria has spread to the blood. Most contagious stage resolves in 2 to 6 weeks without treatment. Okay, so this also within 2 to 3 weeks it goes off without treatment. But these are some things which you can observe. Now, loss of appetite, fatigue, and all, you don't. It goes along with other infections also. So you may not know that it is syphilis or it is Treponema pallidum which is multiplying in your body, because these symptoms are like common for other infections also: loss of appetite, fatigue, pain in joints and bones. Okay, but these kind of patches, okay, when these kind of patches come in your body on the hands or on the feet soles, hmm, or anywhere in the body, then you start thinking, what is it? Okay, then you have an alarm that what is it. So that is when you go to the doctor. If at all you go, and if the doctor is able to find out, then your treatment starts, or else the treatment again goes to the tertiary stage. So here it is, it can be patches on anywhere of the body, then lesions in the mouth, vagina, penis, mucus patches, condylomata. Okay, then fever, all these are common symptoms. So this is what it goes off. It is contagious, it spreads through blood. Bacteria is spreading through blood, and most contagious stage. Okay, so this is where you have to be careful, it is becomes contagious. Then latent stage. Latent, what happens is characterized by the lack of symptoms. No symptoms may appear for months or years. Syphilis is still alive in the body. Okay, so you can understand how dangerous it is. You can have no symptoms for months or for even a year, but syphilis is still there in the body. It is multiplying within your body. Okay, so bacteria starts to damage the internal organs, brain, heart, sexual organs. So when the bacteria is inside your body, it starts multiplying. Okay, and when it starts multiplying, it starts its damage work also. The infection increases and the damage also increases. So what does it do? It affects your brain, it affects your heart, your sexual organs, etc. And damage can go unnoticed till the last stage. Okay, generally that happens in most of the diseases. That happens, I told you, in cholera, typhoid. Okay, in other cases you have those dysentery and stools, which you can go for treatment. But if in case of tuberculosis, we have done tuberculosis also, you will show no symptoms. It's only fever, fatigue. I told you, fatigue, loss of appetite, headache. These are the common symptoms which you don't worry about much, right? But then in the last stages, you have severe cough. Okay, that is when you think of going to the doctor. But sometimes it gets treated. They tried giving cough syrup and try to manage it, but we cannot think that it is tuberculosis. People don't conclude that it is tuberculosis, and finally in the tertiary and final stages, the infection, the mycobacterium has spread so much that you cannot control it with medication. Okay, so that is what happens in most of the diseases, that until it goes to the tertiary stage, the symptoms are not so evident that you can come to a conclusion. Now it's same happening in case of syphilis also. Okay, initially you had those sores, then you have this kind of sores which which are unnoticed, and after 2 to 3 weeks it disappear on their own. Okay, without treatment. Now these kind of patches, if they you appear, and if it's alarming, you and the doctor finds out, it's good that it's syphilis is found out. But sometimes, see, this also resolves within 2 to 6 weeks without treatment. Okay, then after this stage, the organism is still within your body, multiplying and without showing any symptoms, and then slowly starts damaging your brain, heart, etc., and other sexual organs of the body. So damage can go unnoticed till the next stage, that is the tertiary stage. Okay, then during the secondary stage, the infection can be transferred to the baby. So this happens. This is in case of congenital syphilis. Congenital is when it is transferred from the mother to the baby through placenta. Okay, when it's going, then the infection is going through placenta from the mother. It is called as congenital. So this can be done. This happens during the secondary stage. Okay, if the mother is not treated during pregnancy, it can cause deformations or possible death of the child. Okay, so the mother has to be treated from this infection, or else it becomes fatal to the child. Tested after birth. If the baby has syphilis, it is treated immediately. Okay, immediately. If it is tested for syphilis, if it has staphylococcus, it has to be treated immediately. Then tertiary stage. Okay, tertiary stage, what happens is the organism may occur later 5 to 50 years. Okay, you can imagine how long is the span. So the bacteria is multiplying within your body without showing symptoms for so many years. So it can be 5 years to 50 years, it can be any span of years. The bacteria can stay and multiply within your body without showing any symptoms. Okay, disappear after the secondary stage. They disappear, characterized by paralysis, gradual blindness, deterioration of the brain, loss of coordination, shooting pains, and death. Okay, so what happens is 5 to 50 years after secondary stage, symptoms disappear. So the symptoms go off, but they leave back paralysis, they leave back some blindness or deterioration of the brain or loss of coordination or shooting pains and death. Okay, so now there are different kinds of syphilis. It can be gamaceous, it can be cardiovascular, it can be neurosyphilis. So we understand the terms cardio means related to heart, neuro means related to the nervous system, then gamaceous syphilis. This is when it is related to bone, skin, or liver. Okay, so there are different types of syphilis depending upon which organ it has affected. If it has affected the nervous system, it is neurosyphilis. If it has affected the heart, it is cardiovascular syphilis. If it is affected the bone, skin, or liver, it comes under gamaceous syphilis. Okay. Now, brain can cause paralysis, blindness, dementia, or insanity. So, if it has affected the brain, it can lead to paralysis, blindness, or dementia or insanity. And if it has affected the heart, it can lead to severe damage of the blood vessels, inflammation of aorta, heart disease. If it has affected the nervous system, it can be the brain, eye, spinal cord, auditory system, and deafness. So all these organs are related to the spinal cord, so they will be affected. Okay. Now, coming to neurosyphilis, it is asymptomatic syphilitic meningitis, meningovascular syphilis, general paresis, and tabes dorsalis. So these are all the different types of, if it affects the nervous system. Okay, if it affects the nervous system, it can be classified into all these. Then syphilitic meningitis, if it is the meninges which are affected. Meninges is the outer covering of the brain. Okay, I hope you all have heard this meninges. Meninges is nothing but the outer covering of the brain. So if it has affected the meninges, okay, 1 year after the primary stage, CSF. What is the full form of CSF? Full form of CSF is
Cerebral spinal fluid.
cerebrospinal fluid.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Full form of syphilis is cerebrospinal fluid. So the cerebrospinal fluid will show lymphocytic pleocytosis, elevated protein and usually normal glucose concentrations. Then the VDRL test is usually negative. Then it can mimic tuberculosis or fungal meningitis or aseptic meningitis of various causes. It often involves the base of the brain and may result in unilateral and bilateral cranial nerve places. Without treatment, syphilitic meningitis usually resolves like other manifestations. Okay, so this syphilis of the meninges can show similar symptoms, like it can mimic. Mimic means it can be similar to tuberculosis, meningitis, or any fungal infection of the meninges. Okay, meninges, I told you, is the outer covering. Hmm? So this is how if it is, if it affects the meninges. So CSF, that is the cerebrospinal fluid, which flows in the brain. You these symptoms can be seen in the CSF. Okay, CSF is cerebrospinal fluid. I hope you all are understanding. I hope it's not very fast and you're understanding. Till here, we have discussed about the different types of syphilis if they have affected the different organs of our body. Okay. Okay. Hmm. Now, this is the heart. Hmm. This was about your brain. If the syphilis is affecting your brain, if it's affecting your heart. So, 5 to 10 years after initial infection, primary aortic insufficiency and aortic aneurysm of the ascending aorta. Hmm? Now, this is if it has affected your heart, it shows infections 5 to 10 years after initial infection. So, you can imagine how dangerous it is. So, even if you're infected 5 to 10 years ago, still it shows the symptoms after 5 to 10 years. Okay, the symptoms are seen after 5 to 10 years. So what happens is large arteries may sometimes be involved and rarely coronary ostia may be involved, caused by obliterative endarteritis of the vasa vasorum, with result damage to the intima and media of the great vessels, causing dilation of the ring of the aortic valve. So you can imagine how much of damage this one bacteria is doing. It's damaging your heart, the valves, the aorta, which passes the blood. Hmm? Asymptomatic aortitis is best diagnosed by visualizing linear calcifications in the wall of the ascending aorta. Okay, so you when you observe, so that happens only in the final stages. So when you observe the aorta of your heart, there is some calcification in the walls of the ascending aorta, more common in men than in women, and possibly in blacks and whites. Okay, so the patches are in blacks than in whites. Okay, now coming to diagnosis. How will you diagnose it? Diagnosis I have discussed with you in case of many other diseases also. In case of, we have done cholera, we have done typhoid, we have done tuberculosis. Okay, so I have discussed diagnosis with you in all these cases. Hmm? So it is the same. First, initially, it is the physical, it is the primary examination of the patient. So different tests used for different stages. Okay, depending upon the stage, there are different tests which are used. Okay, so in the primary stage, you do the physical examination. In the secondary stage, you do the blood test. Then in the tertiary stage, you do the spinal tap may be required in case of neurosyphilis. Okay, spinal means the spinal cord. Hmm? Spinal cord. So if it is neurosyphilis, you have to take the sample from the spinal cord. Okay. Got it, all of you? Primary stage, secondary stage, and tertiary stage. Depending upon those stages, your tests are done. If it is a primary stage, they do physical examination. Description of symptoms taken, fluid from chancer taken and examined. So the physical examination is done. If it is a secondary stage, they do the blood test, because at that stage the organism is circulating in the blood. I told you in the previous slide, when you have patches on the hands and legs, that is the secondary stage, and the organism is circulating through your blood, and that is the stage when it is very contagious. Okay, so that is when you do the blood test. Okay, the secondary stage you do the blood test. Then the tertiary stage, if it is neurosyphilis, you take the spinal cord sample. I hope it's clear. Now these are the various tests which are done for diagnosis or syphilis. First, as we say, it is the dark field microscopy. So you do the culture and you observe under the microscope. Okay, after doing culturing, you observe under the microscope, then VDRL, RPR, FTA, direct fluorescent antibody test. So these are all the different types of tests which can be done for the diagnosis of syphilis. Now treponema test. Oh, this is about the FTA ABS. Okay, so what is FTA ABS? Used as a confirmatory test. Sensitivity and specificity is very high. 85% of patients with primary syphilis are reactive. Okay. %99 of secondary syphilis and more than 95% of the late syphilis patients, okay, remains reactive for life and most despite adequate therapy. So in spite of giving all kinds of treatments, the organism remains reactive in throughout your lifespan. So there is one more test, that is MHA-TP test, microhemagglutination assay for T. pallidum. Okay, the MHA full form is microhemagglutination assay for Treponema pallidum. Agglutination of RBCs to which Treponema pallidum antigens have been fixed. Okay, I think I have explained agglutination in the previous class. Agglutination I have explained in the previous class. When I was taking typhoid or cholera, I have explained your agglutination. I hope you'll remember. Agglutination is the clumping. For those who are absent, Samir was absent in the last class. Sai Teja was absent in the last class. So for those who were absent in the last class, I'm repeating again. Shirisha, Chandrika was also absent in the last class. Shirisha was present. Shirisha is present regularly. Chandrika was absent in the last class. Deepthi has joined today. Don't know. Okay, for agglutination, for those who were absent last time, it is the clumping of cells when they are similar to each other. There is binding and there is formation of a complex. Like if you're using the serum sample and if you're using the antigen antibody, they bind together and they form complexes. Okay, so that is what happens in agglutination. Clumps or complexes are formed. That is called as agglutination, which shows positive test. Okay, which shows positive test. If there is agglutination, means there was binding, and so it is a positive test. So here it is microhemagglutination assay. Hemagglutination is agglutination. Hem means RBCs. Okay, so this assay is with the RBCs. Agglutination of RBCs to which Treponema pallidum antigens have been fixed. Okay. Now it is about the antibiotics which can be used. It's usually penicillin, but nowadays it is fluoroquinones like levofloxacin are used. Doxycycline may also be used. administered either intramuscularly or intravenously every day. Then asked to attend injections for 2 years monthly, and then every 3 months for examination. Okay, you're getting it, because this organism stays for a longer period, that it stays from 5 to 10, 50 years. I showed you the organism survives within you for more than 5 to 50 years. So that is why you need to keep checking frequently. It's not that you are cured and you stop the treatment and you stop diagnosis. It's not that. You have to do it every 3 months. Hmm? And you have to do the examination every 3 months to check that if it is not multiplying within your body. So you have to take injections for 2 years every month, and then every 3 months for examination of blood to ensure and check the success of the treatment. Success of the treatment means you see to it that the organism is not multiplying within your body, and the titer of the organism has reduced in your body. Okay, that is why you do the frequent testing. Now, how do you treat it? Regular checkups are needed after the treatment to make sure the infection has gone. Treatment can be done at any stage, but any damage done is irreversible. Okay, so it is you the treatment of for this disease can be done at any stage, but whatever damage the organism has already done is irreversible. It's like if it has affected the meninges, if it has affected the heart, so it has already done the damage, so you cannot do anything to it, but further multiplication of the organism can be stopped. Okay, prevention. How do you prevent it? As we know, it is a sexually transmitted disease. So, proper care and proper safety measures have to be used during sex. So, be tested regularly for syphilis. Okay. So, you have to get yourself tested regularly for syphilis. You have to do the syphilis test regularly so that you don't carry the disease nor you transmit it to other people. Okay, so that you don't transmit it to others and you also are not infected with the organism Treponema pallidum. Best way to detect syphilis early is get treated if you have it. Okay, so if you have been found positive for syphilis, you need to get treated immediately so that you prevent the spread. Okay, you prevent the spread. Avoid direct contact with blood. Okay, you should not you should avoid direct contact with anybody's blood, so that whatever infection that person is having will not get transferred to you. Blood of any person is infectious. Source or bodily fluid about safe sex and injection practices. Okay, so any sores in the body can transmit the disease, any body fluid can transmit the disease. Okay, so get tested for syphilis if you are pregnant, so you can be treated. So that you don't transfer the organism to the baby or child in the womb. So you need to get tested for syphilis frequently. And if it is there, you need to get treated immediately so that you don't transfer it. Okay, you need to raise awareness and inform people to have safe sex and to prevent the spread of the organism. Okay, this was all about syphilis. I hope you all understood. I will just go through the slides once again so that we revise. Okay, syphilis transferred through sexually transmitted disease, transferred through organism Treponema pallidum. This is the organism Treponema pallidum, and the disease is spread through 4 stages: primary, secondary, latent, and tertiary stage. Okay, and it hardly shows any symptoms in the primary stage other than the sores in the mouth. Okay, which go unnoticed and get solved on their own without treatment within 2 to 3 weeks. And they disappear on their own, that is within 4 to 6 weeks without treatment. Secondary stage, what happens? First stage was this. First stage where you have soles in the body, any part of the body, can be vagina, can be throat, can be mouth, anus also. Second stage is when there are patches which appear on your hands and feet. Okay, and then you can have pains in the joints. You can have loss of appetite, swollen glands, etc. Hmm? And this is when it is contagious and the organism is circulating in your blood. Then the latent stage. Latent stage, what happens? It goes and damages the internal organs. The organism multiplies within your body and damages your internal organs. Okay, tertiary stage is when it has affected your brain, heart, your nervous system. All these are affected. That is the secondary, tertiary stage. In different organs, if it is the brain, it is called neurocephalus, then cardiocephalus. Hmm? So, if it is brain, you have to take the CSF. That is the fluid in the meninges of your brain. Then heart, I told you how it affects the heart. Then diagnosis, in the primary stage, they do the physical examination. Secondary stage, blood test. Tertiary stage, you need to take the spinal cord sample. Different tests which can be done for diagnosis of treponema. Antibiotics, it is fluoroquinolones and levofloxacin. Sometimes even doxycycline is used. Okay, treatment is to have safe sex. Okay, to get your tests frequently done so that you, if you found positive with syphilis, you get treated immediately. Treatment can be done immediately without the damage of other organs. Okay, so this is all about syphilis. I hope you all understood. Type in the chat box. I'm not able to hear you. Chandrika, did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Chandrika, type in the chat box. Okay. Shivani, did you understand? Shivani, is syphilis clear to you? Did you understand? Type in the chat box. Okay. Deepti, today you are joining for the first time. Deepti, you have not attended cholera, you have not attended typhoid, not tuberculosis. Please type in the chat box. Signal problem. Today, did you understand? Syphilis, did you understand? Vishwas, are you there, Vishwas? Okay. Satish and Dinakaran, did you understand? Okay. We'll start with gonorrhea. The next disease is gonorrhea. I will open the PPT. You'll want a 5 minutes break or I'll continue with gonorrhea. Type in the chat box. You'll want a 5 minutes break or I'll continue with gonorrhea. Type. I'll start gonorrhea or 5 minutes break. Chandrika. Okay. Boys, nobody's answering. दिनाकरण, साई तेजा, समीर चले गया क्या? समीर इज देयर or gone? Okay, Sameer. Okay. Okay, we'll stop for 5 minutes and start. Pause for 5 minutes, okay? Shall we start? You all are there? Chandrika, you're there? Okay, I hope everybody is there. Satish Dinakaran. Satish and Dinakaran. Okay. So I'm starting. I'm starting with gonorrhea. You all can see the screen, no? Okay. So gonorrhea, I don't know you all have heard or not, but this is also a sexually transmitted disease. This also comes under STI, STD. Okay, STD. It is said STD, that is sexually transmitted disease, and gonorrhea also comes under that. So, as the Greek word gonorrhea means flow of seed. Okay, gonorrhea comes from the Greek word seed, and it is believed to be the urethral exudate in males with gonorrhea. So semen becomes the urethral exudate in males. So males who have gonorrhea, they secrete this organism through the semen. Okay, and the bacteria which is responsible for this is Neisseria gonorrhoeae. Hmm? For syphilis, it was Treponema pallidum. Remember, all of you. For syphilis, it was Treponema pallidum. For gonorrhea, it is Neisseria gonorrhoeae. The organism was demonstrated by Neisseria in stained smears of urethral vagina. Okay, so it was seen in, now you know smears. You know how we make do staining and all. No, so you all have done with cultures in lab, you have done with cultures of petri plate or any culture, but here, in case if you want to find out gonorrhea organism, you do the smear staining of the urethral or vaginal secretions. Okay, you take the vaginal or urethral secretions and then you do the staining to find out this organism, that is Neisseria gonorrhoeae. And discovery of first cultured in vitro by Listyok in 1882. Effective antimicrobial therapy in form of sulfonamides was first applied in 1930s. So there was a medication also, that was sulfonamides were used for treating gonorrhea in 1930. Then how do you grow it? The culture medium which you require. You are not aware of nutrient agar, McConkey agar and all this, no? So here this is Thayer Martin medium. You use the Thayer Martin medium for culturing of gonorrhea. And the risk of infection in man after single vaginal episode with infected woman is estimated to be 20%, and 60 to 40, 80% after 4 exposures. So this is about the intercourse. Now if there is sexual transmission, so if there are chances of 20% transmission through one intercourse, there are chances of 20% infection from an infected woman. Okay, prevalence of infection in women is 50 to 90%. So N gonorrhoeae, that is Neisseria gonorrhoeae, is gram negative. It is non-motile, non-spore forming diplococci. Okay, present in intracellular in neutrophils. Present intracellularly in neutrophils. Okay. Now this is about the structure in pathogenesis. So these are details about the gonococcal structures involved in pathogenesis. So depending upon the organ or the bacteria, the structure, the pure, the opera, the peptidoglycan, function in infection. So different parts of the bacteria, how do they function in the infection? Okay. Like the pili, they are responsible for adherence. The lipopolysaccharides, oligosaccharides are responsible for tissue toxin. The peptidoglycan of the bacteria is responsible for the tissue toxin. Hmm? So the different parts of the bacteria, structures of the bacteria, how they are responsible in the infection. Okay. So only mucous membranes lined by columnar or cuboidal non-conified epithelial cells are susceptible. So as I told you, in case of Treponema pallidum also, it is the mucous membranes through which the organism enters. Okay, because it is easier for the organism to enter through mucous membranes. So here also gonorrhea also enters through mucous membranes. And steps in pathogenesis, that is adherence, invasion, and attachment. So in adherence, in the first stage, what happens? Initial event, gonorrhea adhere to the mucosal cells mediated by pili, pupa and other surface proteins. Then in first is the adherence stage, second is the invasion stage. Then invasion what happens? Organism is then pinocytosed by epithelial cells which transport gonococci from mucosal surface to subepithelial spaces. Okay. Then simultaneous with attachment of gonococci to non-ciliated epithelial cells, gonococcal LOS impairs ciliary motility and contributes to destruction of surrounding ciliary cells. Okay. Then all this comes under invasion. Okay, first stage is this is adherence, second stage is invasion. Under invasion you have the organism is pinocytosed by so it means it gets inside the epithelial cells. Okay, then simultaneous attachment to non-ciliated epithelial cells. Okay, then this process may promote further attachment of additional organisms. The next step is tissue damage. The next step is dissemination. Okay, first is adherence, that is attachment to the mucous cells. Then is invasion, where it enters the epithelial cells. Third is tissue damage. Fourth is dissemination. You understand these words. Tissue damage means once it enters the epithelial cells, it goes into damage. Okay, there is damage. And submucosal invasion are accompanied by vigorous neutrophil response, submucosal microabscess, formation and exudation of purulent material into lumen of the infected organ. Okay, then dissemination, ability to resist the killing activity of antibodies and complement in normal human serum is closely related to the ability of gonococci to cause bacteremic illness with or without septic arthritis. Okay, you understand? So, as I told you, first step was adherence, then it adheres to the epithelial mucus layer. Next is invasion, when it invades through the epithelial cells. Third is tissue damage, where it enters and starts the damage inside. And the fourth is dissemination, that is ability to resist the killing activity of antibodies. So the antibodies within your body, now when the foreign bacteria has entered your body, your antibodies starts acting against it. Okay, your antibodies and human immune system starts reacting against it. So in the fourth stage is its ability to resist the killing. Your antibodies are trying to kill the organism, but its ability is there to resist the killing activity. So that is what comes under dissemination. Now, these are manifestation: symptomatic infection, and local complications. Okay, so it can be an asymptomatic infection. As I told you, in major cases, it is asymptomatic. You cannot make out the symptoms until it comes in the tertiary stage. Okay, because the symptoms are mostly common with other diseases like fatigue, illness, loss of appetite. These are common symptoms which go along. So most important is asymptomatic. Under within that comes the symptomatic. Asymptomatic, it is the urethra, endocervix, rectum, and pharynx which are affected. Symptomatic, it is urethritis, cervicitis, prostatitis, then pharyngitis, bartholomewitis, and conjunctivitis. All these are the symptomatic symptoms. So when it is symptomatic, you can see it's these things which are affected. Then local complications can be salpingitis, epidermitis, Bartholin abscesses, lymphangitis. All these come under local complications of the disease. Okay. Now, when it is urethral infection in men, okay, when it is urethral infection in men, how does it happen? So, acute anterior urethritis is most common in men. Incubation is 1 to 14 days or even longer. So, that is the period where you don't even know that the organism is multiplying within your body. Same happens in case of corona also, no? Once it is case 15 days of incubation period, they say. So it is that period when the organism is multiplying within your body and your body is trying to respond, your immune response is trying to respond against that infection, and if the organism overcomes that, okay, you fall sick. And if your antibodies overcome it, you do not fall sick. So you do not show symptoms because your body antibodies have overcome the infection. Okay, and if the organism has overcome you fall sick with all the symptoms. So here it is 1 to 14 days or even longer. Majority of men develop symptoms within 2 to 5 days. Okay, and as was the case in 36 of 44 men with uncomplimented gonorrhea in one of the few studies in which time of exposure could be clearly defined. Okay, so it happens that many case studies are done and only few show symptoms and others go out of the symptomatic range. That is what this was. Um, that is what it is like. Supposing the case study is of 100, only 50 show symptomatic. That is why the larger spectrum is of those who are asymptomatic. Okay, predominant symptoms are urethral discharge of dysuria. So these are the initial symptoms. Initially scant and mucoid or mucopurulent in appearance. In most males, urethral exudate becomes frankly purulent and relatively profuse within 24 hours of onset. So these are all the symptoms in the initial stages. Dysuria usually begins after onset of discharge. So this is how it becomes. Variable degrees of edema and erythema of urethral meatus commonly accompany gonocoical urethritis. So this is how it looks after infection is there. Edema is swelling and erythema of the urethral meatus. Okay. Now this is urogenital infection in women. Primary site endocervical canal. So this urethral colonization, 70 to 90% of infected women, but is uncommon absence of endocervical infection. Okay, so this is how it is. It looks after infection. Infection of Bartholin's gland ducts is also common, variable but usually 10 days. That is incubation period. IP means incubation period is different, but it's usually 10 days. Okay. Okay. Now, most common symptoms are those of most lower genital tract infections in women. Increased vaginal discharge. Okay, so the vaginal discharge increases. Dysuria, intermenstrual uterine bleeding, and menorrhagia. Purulent exudate you occasionally may be expressed from urethra or Bartholin's gland duct. So this is how, if there is infection also, they can see, and the purulent exudate occasionally may be expressed from urethra and the vaginal discharge increases. Okay. Rectal infection. Rectal mucosa is infected in So if it is the rectal infection, okay, is mostly 35 to 50% of women with gonococcal cervicitis. Only rectum is involved in 5% of women, 40% in homosexual men. Okay. Symptoms range from minimal anal pruritus, painless mucopurulent discharge, often manifested only by a coating of stools with exudate, or scant rectal bleeding. So it can be scant, little bit of rectal bleeding also can be there, to symptoms of overt prostatitis. Okay, so these are all the symptoms when you have a rectal infection. Leading to occasional erythema of abnormal discharge, erythema, edema, all these. Then if it is pharyngeal infections, that was rectal infection, this is pharyngeal infection. 3 to 7% of heterosexual men, 10 to 20% of heterosexual women, and 20 to 25% of homosexually active men. These people are those which are exposed and get infection. Acute pharyngitis or tonsillitis, and occasionally is associated with fever or cervical lymphadenopathy. 90% are asymptomatic. Infection of other sites. So the first we have done, one is rectal infection, then vaginal infection, then pharyngeal infection. Now it can be infection of other sites like gonococcal conjunctivitis is rare. Conjunctivitis, as you know, it is the eyes where it is affected with the gonorrhea organism, but it is rare. Then primary cutaneous infection, that is localized ulcer of genitals, perineum, proximal lower extremities or finger is rare. Okay, so infection of all these are rare. Now coming to complicated gonococcal infections. Okay, it can be local complications in women and complications in men. So in men, it is epidermitis, present in up to 20%, most common acute epidermitis in patients under 35 age, under the age of 35. Then penile lymphangitis, then post-inflammatory urethral restrictions and periurethral abscesses. Local complications in women can be most common of all complications of gonorrhea, as well as the most important in terms of public health. 10 to 20% of those with acute gonococcal infection, Bartholin's gland abscesses. So these are all the types of infections. I'll just go through. Main is laboratory diagnosis. Okay, any disease you need to study the laboratory diagnosis properly, and you need to write in your exams laboratory diagnosis. And I told you all, laboratory diagnosis, when you'll write, you should be systematic. Okay, first comes the microscopy. So first you will write about microscopy and staining. Next you will write about the culture. Then you will write about the serological test. Then you will write about the molecular test which can be done. So this is how you have to write in your exam. I have explained before this also to you all in the exams how you should write, because first you will get any disease. I'm sure you will get cholera, typhoid, tuberculosis, anyone will come. Anything can come. It can be syphilis also, it can be gonorrhea also. So you cannot leave any disease. So most important when you're studying is study about the organism. Study about Mycobacterium tuberculosis, organism details. Study about cholera. Which organism? Cholera, Vibrio cholerae. Typhoid, which organism? Salmonella typhi. Okay. Tuberculosis, Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Syphilis, Treponema pallidi. Gonorrhea, it is Neisseria gonorrhoeae. So study about these organisms. Okay, when you are doing, first do the organism details, like their structure, their nature, how do they infect. Main, how do they infect? Cholera means how does it cause, through air or water? Typhoid, through air or water. Like this you have to know. Then after that you have to do the diagnosis part. Okay, how does it spread? How does it spread? Pathogenesis, all this. Then comes the laboratory diagnosis. Laboratory diagnosis by first microscopy, gram staining, whatever staining procedure, whichever is used for the organism. then the culturing, how you will culture the organism, and then serological test, then the molecular test, then the treatment. This is how you have to describe a disease or an organism. Huh? So here they are doing gram staining, hmm, and they show gram negative diplococci in PMN. Hmm. That is the fluids. Hmm. See, you can see diplococci. Diplo means two. Diplo means two. Hmm. So they are gram negative diplococci which can be seen. Then for culturing, you do antibiotic containing selective media, Thayer Martin medium. I told you it's the Thayer Martin medium for growing the organism. Hmm. Have diagnostic sensitivities of 80 to 95% for promptly incubated specimens, depending in part on anatomic site being cultured. Small pinpoint colonies can be seen 90% within 12 hours and 100% within 6 hours of sample collection. Okay. Oxidase reaction. Okay, so these are the various tests which can be done. Oxidase reaction aids to identify gonococci from mixed culture. A drop of tetramethyl P phenyldiamine hydrochloride is added over suspected colonies which turn pink and then dark blue. So this is how you can make out the organism. Okay, you used tetramethyl P phenyldiamine hydrochloride. So when this is poured on the culture, it first turns pink and then it turns dark blue. So you can confirm it is Neisseria gonorrhoeae. This was about the culture methods. Okay, till here it was about the culturing and how do you find out through culturing. Now comes the non-culture diagnostic techniques. Okay, non-culture methods mein where you do not do culturing and find out which organism it is. So that comes the PCR, where you do not do culturing in PCR. This test is known as NATS test, that is nucleic acid amplification tests. Okay, NAT test is nucleic acid amplification test. Then transcription mediated amplification TMA and other nucleic acid test. I told you all. What, someone is trying to enter the class? Who is this? Madhu? Hmm? Wants to enter now when it's nearing 1 o'clock. Are you understanding? Sai? Sai Teja, are you there? Okay. Dinakaran, are you understanding? Samir? Okay. Girls, I hope it is clear. Is it very fast, Chandrika? Am I going fast or it's your understanding? Shirisha, Pranati, Deepti, understanding all of you? I hope it's not very fast. Satish? Satish, are you understanding? Okay, thank you for answering. No, because if we finish gonorrhea, we finish the first unit, then we have to start with the second unit. Okay, that is why I wanted to finish gonorrhea today. So that in the next class we start with our second unit. Okay. So this is about the different tests which are done to identify the organism. As I told you, first you do culture, microscopy, then culturing, then this is the non-culture. Under non-culture, you have the PCR and molecular tests which come under non-culturing tests. Okay. Then immunological, I have explained your immunological test also. Immunological means where you use the antigen antibody test, okay, or biochemical test for detection of gonococcal antigens. Hmm? Including surface proteins, endotoxin, and oxidase test can also be done. Hmm? Fluorescence or conjugated antibodies. So I hope you all understand this. So what happens in your normal antigen antibody test? I told you there is agglutination or there is clumping of the antigen antibody which shows lumps and you can say it is positive test. Okay. In fluorescence test, what do? They add a fluorescent dye to the antibody or antigen. Okay, they add a fluorescent dye to the antigen and antibody, and when they combine, in the reaction, when there is combination, they emit fluorescence. They emit fluorescence. So positive test can be detected depending upon fluorescence. So depending upon how much fluorescence is emitted, you calculate the positive test. Okay, this much percent positivity like that is calculated depending upon the fluorescence emitted. Okay, I hope it's clear. Then serological. I told you all. I have explained you all serological for many times. Tuberculosis, cholera, typhoid. Always I have explained you all. Serological means serum, where you do the antigen antibody test. Okay, where you're using the serum or your blood sample and doing antigen antibody test. Serological means that. Hmm? So under serological, you have complement fixation, you have immunoprecipitation, you have bacterial lysis, immunofluorescence. Okay, wherever you use the term immuno, it is the antigen antibody test which you are doing to identify. Then it is enzyme linked, that is ELISA. I think you all have heard about ELISA, enzyme linked immunosorbent assay. You would have studied in 12th. Okay, so I have explained also, I think. So that is ELISA. Then sensitivities, then specificities about 80%. Sensitivity specificity show how accurate your results are. Okay, sensitivity and specificity are the terms which are used to show how accurate your tests are, like complement fixation test. If you have done immunofluorescence, if you have done ELISA, they ask how much sensitive and how much specific. Okay, so sensitivity and specificity show the accuracy of your tests. Okay, then it can also be this rapid carbohydrate utilization test. This can be done to detect the beta lactamase production of Neisseria species. Okay, and detected by change in color of phenol red pH indicator from yellow to from red to yellow. Okay, so what happens is you can even detect the Neisseria by change in the pH indicator. Color of phenol red, which changes from red to yellow. Okay, treatment. Okay, as I told you, it is the different antibiotics are used for treatment of different or in case of different diseases related to the organisms. So here treatment is which tablets, which medication is used. So uncomplicated gonococcal infection of cervix, urethra, and rectum. And here it is about the uncomplicated gonococcal infection of pharynx. So if it is cervix, urethra, and rectum, they give cefixime, they give ceftriaxone, ciprofloxacin, of ofloxacin, levofloxacin. Okay, and if chlamydal infection is not ruled out, they give azithromycin or doxycycline.
Doxycycline at the
Then, if it is infection of pharynx, it is single dose of injection ceftriaxone or tablet ciprofloxacin, and it can be combined with chlamydal infection if not ruled out. You can give the tablet azithromycin or doxycycline for 7 days. Okay, I hope it's clear. till the treatment. And these are all the
Yes,
antibiotics which are used for conjunctivitis
ma'am.
or gonococcal infection. Hmm?
GMS.
You
Ayo,
need not remember the
GMS
names of the
critical.
antibiotics. It's not possible
GMS
for you to
started.
remember the names of the antibiotics. But some major ones you can remember. One or two names you can remember. But it's not expected that you write all these. It is just for your information. Hmm? Then, how do you manage the disease and how do you control the spread? Management of sex partners. So, all sex partners of patients who have gonorrhea infection should be evaluated and treated. Okay, so if a person, like if in case of corona, if one family member gets corona, we generally do the testing of other family members also, right? Because the other members can be asymptomatic, but they can be the carriers for coronavirus. Okay, so that is why treatment is also given to family members so that you can be a carrier. Although you're not symptomatic, you can be a carrier. Similarly, in this case also, like if a patient is having gonorrhea infection, even the sex partner is given treatment. Okay, both are treated for gonorrhea. Okay, if their last sexual contact with patient was within 60 days before onset of symptoms or diagnosis. So the partner also has to be given treatment for gonorrhea. Follow up treatment. Treated patients with CDC range need not follow up to confirm they are cured, but the patient with persistent symptoms may be tested for antimicrobial susceptibility and other cause and tested accordingly. Okay, as I told you, in case of syphilis, also the test is repeated every 2 months or every 3 months, and the treatment also is continued for a year long. In case of uh, typhoid also, hmm? In case of cholera also, the treatment is carried on for a long time because the organism is still there in your body. Okay, this is how you manage the disease. If it is urethral discharge in man, that is in men, urethral pain or burn. This is the symptoms, right? Pain or burning while passing urine, increased frequency of urination, sexual exposure to high risk practices, including orogenital sex. Hmm? Then examination. So you need to look for urethral meatus or for redness and swelling. If urethral discharge is not seen, then gentle massage the urethra from ventral part of penis towards meatus, and thick creamy greenish yellow or mucoid discharge is seen. Okay, so this is how you take the sample. Then lab investigation, I told you it can be gram staining or it can be culture. Okay, non-culture it is molecular methods. So all these come under lab diagnosis. Okay, I hope it's clear. Then it is the treatment part, as I told you, the antibiotics. So you can remember these antibiotics, the major ones like cefixime, azithromycin, and cindazole. So some few major names you can remember for treatment. Then it is management of pregnant partner. So even pregnant partners have to be treated so that they don't give the infection to the child. Then follow up, that is there in case of all diseases and infections. Then specific guidelines for partner management. Okay, so treat partners on same lines. That is, the same kind of treatment should be given to partner also, because he also can be infected. Hmm? So this is all about syphilis. I'm sorry, gonorrhea. Hmm? I hope everything is clear and you all have understood about gonorrhea. We have done two topics today, gonorrhea and syphilis. I hope there's no confusion. Syphilis and gonorrhea both are sexually transmitted diseases, but the organism for syphilis is Treponema pallidum, and the organism for gonorrhea is Neisseria gonorrhoeae. Okay, and syphilis, as I told you, appears as sores and then It can go to the meninges or heart and affect the meninges and heart and stay for 5 to 50 years and multiply over there. Okay. Gonorrhea also I have shown you, it affects the vagina. Hmm? And in case of men also, the semen is the discharge in which you can see the organism can be found. Hmm? I'll just go through the slides once for gonorrhea so that you all recollect what we have done for gonorrhea today. Okay, so this is it. Flow of seed, gonorrhea means organism, gonorrhea, Neisseria gonorrhoeae. Okay, then pathogenesis, adherence, invasion. No? Adherence is where it attaches to the mucosal membrane. Invasion where it enters the epithelial cells, then it does tissue damage and then dissemination. Okay, this is how clinical management, like how clinical symptoms. Okay, then it can be urethral infection, it can be pharyngeal infection, it can be. So this is how it is when it is the urethral infection in men. It can be urogenital in women. Okay, it can be pharyngeal, it can be rectal infection also it can be. Okay, and infection of other sites also. Now complications, it can be local complications, it can be systemic complication. Okay, then coming to laboratory diagnosis, I told you all, first is microscopic staining and diagnosis, then is culturing Thayer Martin medium. You have to remember the medium, which is very important in case of different organisms. It is different. Okay, so in case of gonorrhea, it is Thayer Martin's medium. And the different tests, these were the culture diagnosis. These were the non-culture diagnostic techniques, which is molecular and PCR related. Then immunological, I told you use of antigen and antibody. Also biochemical tests can be detected for the organism. Then fluorescence conjugate antibodies where the antibody is bound with a fluorescent dye, and if there is positive and complex formation, it emits a fluorescent light. Serological also it is antigen and antibody which bind, that comes under serological tests. In treatment, I told you different medication are used for treatment. Okay. I hope everything is clear. I hope you all understood both syphilis and gonorrhea. Hmm? Prevention may you have to take safety measures, and if the patient is infected, the partner is also treated because the partner can be a carrier of the disease or the organism. Okay, just tell me if you all understood gonorrhea also. All of you. I hope today's class, gonorrhea and syphilis, was clear for all of you. Okay. Satish, Dinakaran, did you all understand gonorrhea and syphilis? Okay. Any doubts? Any doubts? Sai Teja? Any doubt? Samir? For gonorrhea or syphilis, any doubts you all have? Samir, Sai Teja? Kindly reply. Samir, are you there in the class? Sai Teja? Any doubts? Okay. I hope you all have understood and the topic was clear. I'll end the meeting. Thank you. Deepthi, I hope everything was clear to you. Okay. So I'll end the class over here. Thank you. See you all in the next class. Okay.